Hi,
Hello.
how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thanks for willing to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I could just jump around before getting to Fire Emblem.
What's that? Sorry?
I could just jump around before getting to Fire Emblem.
For sure.
So was acting always something that you wanted to do?
Yes. From the time I was very little, I was always very um very set that I wanted to do acting, even though, as a kid I couldn't comprehend how to do that. But voice acting specifically became like my like special interest when I want to say like 12 or 13, and I watched like Dragon Ball Z, and I realized, how many of the characters are all voiced by Chris Sabat, and I was like, that's so cool. Oh my God, he can do so many different voices. And from then on I was like, okay, I'm going to be a voice actor. I'm going to be a voice actor when I grow up.
Or have you always been in Canada too?
Yeah, I grew up in Manitoba, and then I just moved to Vancouver the last year. It's been a year I've been living here. Yeah.
Are you in ACTRA too yet or no?
Not yet. I want to be. I haven't actually done a lot of jobs in Canada, like in terms of like things I've booked through my Canadian agent. Most of my stuff is with like American clients, so I haven't actually had a chance to work with Actra on anything yet, but I would like to join them eventually.
Do you have aspirations to move to the US for voiceover eventually or
Um, I've considered it, and it's something I definitely might do at some point, but honestly, I like being where I am in Vancouver, like with the amount of work I'm able to get remotely and like recording in studios in Vancouver. So it's it's not it's not on my radar for a while at least, if I do it at all.
so what was any kind of first anime experience for voiceover that you had?
Anime.
Yeah.
Um, the first anime I did would have been, I think it was Spirit Chronicles. I did that a couple years ago. It was really interesting actually because it was during like the early times when they were doing remote stuff for COVID, so everyone wasn't like super familiar with dubbing anime remotely, but it was a lot of fun. I really hope I get to do it again. It's kind of sucks that the industry is like closed back off mostly to like Texas and LA, but if I ever get the chance to do it again, I definitely want to because it was a lot of fun.
Did you also take to dubbing easy or was it hard to get used to?
Honestly, I was really scared going into it. I like practiced so much because I was terrified it was going to be difficult. But once I was in the booth, it really wasn't that hard. It's pretty, at least for me, it was pretty easy to get into the swing of it.
It seems like that Tribe 9 might be the darkest thing you've done for anime so far.
Definitely, yes. Spirit Chronicles was a lot more goofy, and then Tribe Nine was a lot darker, a lot more intense of a role. It was a lot of fun though.
What about, is there any special story with how you got Kent's son at Street Fighter?
Oh gosh, that one. I don't know how much I can say, but it was one of the projects that they had like a code name for, so I had no idea what I was auditioning for. And funny enough, I actually wasn't going to audition for it initially because I read the specs for how young Mel was, and I was like, oh, I don't know if I can really do a voice for a character like that young. I'm not sure. But my fiance was like, no, just go for it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? And then I got cast, so I was like, wow, it's a good thing I went for it.
What is the case where you had to alter your voice the most for anything, do you think?
Ooh, alter my voice the most for anything. I've been pretty lucky in terms of like most of the roles I've got have been like pretty close to my like normal range. I'd say Tribe 9 was probably like one of the weirder ones I've done because it was like, like he's very like up here and I kind of had to talk a little bit through my teeth. So that was a little bit different. But I don't think I've really had any like super out there, at least not that I can think off the top of my head for like really big like vocal changes.
Well, the different NPCs that you play in Genshin are all pretty varied, I think.
That's true. That's true. I was grateful actually that they gave me quite a few like different like lower characters and like higher ranged characters for that one. That was quite fun.
Did you audition for a playable character too, or
I I think I've auditioned for a Genshin playable character. They codename those ones as well, so I'm never a
yeah,
100% sure, but I'm pretty sure I have auditioned for one before.
what about had you auditioned for Fire Emblem Heroes before too, or do you know?
That one's like super code name. They did like that one I had no idea what I was recording for either, just like Street Fighter. So it's possible I have, but I don't think I actually had. I'm pretty sure that was my first time auditioning for it.
Was that Caitlin directing you, or was it somebody else?
Oh gosh, it's been a while. We recorded that like a year ago. I think it was Patrick Seitz who I worked with. I think it was God, it's been so long, but I'm like 90% certain it was Patrick.
How could you relate to Will the most then?
The fact that he's, I think, just such a like upbeat, very just like cheerful guy despite like everything that's going on around him. I relate to that a lot. I'm usually pretty just like happy-go-lucky, even when things in life are just ridiculous. I very much related to how he's kind of just like, yep, I'm doing my thing. I don't care, whatever.
And based off your post too, you've been a like a really big fan of the franchise for a long time.
Absolutely. I first got introduced to Fire Emblem playing Smash Bros. As a kid. Like I remember when Melee came out, I was like, "Who are these strange sword boys? This is great." But then when Awakening came out in on the 3DS, I was like 12 or 13, and oh my God, I can't even remember how many times I've played through Awakening because I played it so much. I literally I was so in love with it, and I was always like if I could get in a Fire Emblem game, that would be it. That's like long-term dream. So when I found out that what I had been cast for was for Fire Emblem, I lost it. I was so excited.
Well, it is really cool that you're the first like full Canadian resident who's part of the franchise now.
Yeah, I was like genuinely that surprised me a lot, like that it was Fire Emblem because I had talked with folks before, and kind of the consensus was that the folks who record Fire Emblem usually don't like to hire outside of LA. At least they didn't for a long time. So I'm finding out that they were branching out so much to allow like me, someone who like lives in Canada, is just in Canada to record. I was stoked. I was so excited.
It sounds like in terms of developing the voice too, that it's pretty much your natural voice.
Pretty much, yeah. It was literally, I think the only direction I got was just to pitch him up slightly because he's really happy, and that's about it. It was pretty much just my normal talking voice.
I think for me personally too, that your performance is like one of the best in the mobile game now.
Thank you. That's really kind. I like so many people have sent me so many kind messages about Will and liking him. I've been like so like overwhelmed by how kind everyone's been. It's been really nice.
Well, I don't know if you've gotten this before too, but it's very like it's like the perfect like male protagonist for a anime or anime game.
Thank you. I would love nothing more than to voice a protagonist in one of those kinds of games.
Do you have a single favorite line then? There's probably more than one for him.
Oh gosh. I love the one where he's like trying to come up with a nickname, and he's just like, "Oh, you need a nickname. It has to be perfect." And he's just like I love that that's his thing, is nicknames.
Are you very familiar with his source game already?
I had not ever played the source game for him at all, but I knew about it because I remember Roy was always my favorite character in Smash Bros. So I was like, oh my God, that was the first game that Roy was ever in. So I was like super excited about that.
Are you mostly just into the modern Fire Emblem games then?
Yeah, I've only really played Awakening, Fates and Three Houses. But I want to play the older ones because I grew up on like those tactical RPGs, and I've played some pretty old ones like Shining Force, so it doesn't bug me if it's like an older game.
Were you already playing Heroes too, or not since your character?
I hadn't actually been playing it, so I'm like bugging all my friends I know who do play it to find like him in the game and show me his lines and stuff because I don't play a lot of mobile games, so I was just like, oh God, I think it's too late for me to get into Fire Emblem Heroes.
Are you comfortable hearing yourself and stuff too?
I'd say I am at this point. I think when I was younger and first in things, it was like a little bit like, oh God, this is weird. I don't know, but like I've gotten pretty used to hearing myself over the years, so now I'm usually just like, oh my God, hey, it's me.
Well, is there anything that you want to say to the Fire Emblem community?
I think just thank you for being so unbelievably like kind and welcoming. I've been in many fandoms at this point where it's people have been like, chill or whatever, but like the immediate like super excited welcome from everyone was so nice. So thank you for being such a kind community.
So I was curious that you were like, I think you were the only person on the banner that hadn't announced themselves yet, and I was I was so curious about why that was.
I was, cause yeah, I had always seen like that they do like the cool, like voice actor announcement things where they like, they have the character show up in the voice actor's name, but Will didn't get one. So I was kind of like, oh, am I allowed to talk about this? Cause I didn't get one of those. So I had to email them and be like, am I allowed to? Is that okay? Like he didn't get an announcement, but he's in the game, right? So I can talk about that, right? And they were like, yeah, that's fine. So I was like, okay.
So is there anything else that's upcoming or part of you can talk about, or
Oh gosh, anything that I can talk about? Probably not. There's a couple NDA credits that I'm still sitting on, but never sure when any of them are going to come out. So like Will, I had no idea. Literally, we recorded that I think like a year ago, and they were like, "I have no idea when this will come out, so just keep your eyes out." And I'm like, "Okay." So I was like so surprised when I was like, "Oh, there he is. He's in the game." But gosh, yeah, I don't think there's anything that's coming out soon that I can talk about.
well, my final question is always asking, what do you want your legacy to be?
My legacy. Um, I think just that I played characters that made people happy. If my performances can bring anyone even just like a smile on a day where they're not feeling good, then I feel completely fulfilled as an actor. That's all I want.
Well, thank you. I'm glad that we got to talk.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, have a good rest of your day then.
You too. Bye.
Bye.